Now let's talk about an example of cost-benefit analysis. So this is the example from the textbook. As I said, if we want to do cost-benefit analysis, we need to consider three major factors: recurring benefits, recurring cost, and one-time cost. So based on this example that is provided on your textbook, we have all three of them. First of all, here in this slide on the left, you can see the information regarding the problem. On the right hand side, I'm going to show you how you can use Excel to develop the cost benefit analysis. So the first thing that we have here in the problem is the tangible benefits and intangible benefits. So these are recurring benefits, and as you can see from year 1 to year 5, we can get these benefits A to F, and the total tangible benefits would be $50,000 in each year. So the first thing that you need to do is developing the Excel sheet. So first of all, we want to talk about the benefits, right? This is the first section that we want to develop, and this project will be run for 5 years. As you can see here, it's from year 1 to year 5. So the first one, you need to define the years. Year 0, we need to always start with year 0, because at the beginning of the project we always have some cost that we cannot avoid. We need to pay that at the beginning of the project in year 0, in time 0. Then we have year 1, year 2, 3, 4, and 5. So basically this is the planning horizon for the project. The second one is the benefits that we expect to get. The benefits. So year 0, we don't have any benefits, right? The benefit will start from year 1. The total is $50,000. So for all of these years, the benefit would be $50,000. So I just extend $50,000 to next year's. The next thing that we need to consider, if you can remember from the previous lecture, we need to calculate the discount rate, right? Let's assume the discount rate is 12% in this problem. Okay, the discount rate of 12%. So here we want to use the discount rate in order to convert all of these future values into present value, right? Into NPV, or net present value. So in order to do that, we had a formula, right? We had a formula, and based on that formula, we had to multiply the benefit by a measure, by a ratio. And that ratio can be calculated as 1 divided by 1 plus the discount rate, which is 12%, to the power of the year that we are in. The year here is year 1, the number that I'm trying to calculate here. So the discount rate, the measure that we need to multiply by the actual value would be this. So let me just try to show you the formula. This is the formula that I explained before, right? The formula on the top part. Now I try to calculate just this part of the formula. So 0.89 that I have here is just this part of the formula, and I'm trying to calculate that part first for any given year. And remember, at year 0, the discount rate is just 1. We don't need to convert anything that is in year 0. But after 1 year, the value of money would be dropped, so we need to convert that. For year 2, we repeat the same thing. We have 1 divided by 1 plus the discount rate, which is 12%, multiplied. We are in year 2, to the power of, we are in year 2, so to the power of 2. So this is for the discount rate for, or the measure that we need to use to calculate the net present value for year 2. For year 3, 1 divided by 1 plus, again, 12% discount here to the power of 3. We are in year 3. So we can just keep doing that, right? I can just even copy and paste the formula to the next year, just changing the number of years. That would be much easier. So just copy and paste it and change the value right here. And now, if I want to calculate the net present value, I need to multiply the monetary value by this measure, right? By this rate. So I need to multiply $50,000 by the number that I got. Now I have the net present value based on the net present value formula. If you want to do the same thing for other years, if there is a small square on the right bottom corner of the Excel cell, you can just drag it to the right, and all of the numbers will be calculated. If you want to have less decimals here, to just make it more clear, you can just use this button on Excel to have less decimals. Maybe 4 decimals would be enough. And also here, maybe just 2 decimals would be enough. So here, we have the net present value for all of the benefits. So this is the first piece of information that we wanted to process. Let's go for the second one. For the second one, we have cost, right? We have recurring cost and one-time cost. In this image that we have here, we have one-time cost because it's just at year 0. So here we have another section for cost. I can write it down as a section header or the title for the section. And then again, we can have the very same thing, year 1 to year 5, and I can have all of those things. Instead of benefit, I just have costs here. So here, this is the recurring cost, but just to have a distinction between recurring cost and one-time cost, we can have the one-time cost is in another row or another space in Excel, just to not get confused with that. So one-time cost is $42,500. So this is the one-time cost, and we have to pay that at year 0. Okay, so this is the one-time, and the next piece of information that we have is the recurring cost. Recurring cost from year 1 to year 5, we have different types of cost, and the total is $28,500 per year from year 1 to year 5. So we don't have any cost in year 0, but year 1 to year 5, we have $28,500. And we can just keep doing that because that's the same thing for different years. And the interesting part, the measure that you are trying to calculate here is exactly the same as measures that we calculated here, because the equation is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if we want to bring cost back to the current period, to the present time, or if we want to bring back the benefits to the present time. The formula is exactly the same. The whole idea is to understand what is the present value of a future monetary value, and it doesn't matter if that value is benefit or its cost. The measure is exactly the same. So in order to calculate the net present value, we need to multiply the monetary value by the ratio that we got. So now we can extend that. Here we have the net present cost for any given period of time. And also now we took care of recurring benefits, recurring cost, and one-time cost. One thing that we can do is to calculate the overall benefits net present value at any given time. And also we can calculate overall cost NPV at any given time. So in the PowerPoint slides, there is a whole, let me just go back right here. In the PowerPoint slides, there is a completed Excel sheets, right? And I'm just trying to help you understand how they got that. So just have that as reference, and I'm gonna upload the same Excel file so you can make sure you have everything that you need for your learning experience. So as I said, we can calculate the overall net benefits, overall benefits of net present value. So I just named them exactly as is, so you don't get confused. Net present value of all benefits, and here we have the net present value of all cost. So it's exactly the same concept. I'm just trying to be consistent with the slide that you have in the PowerPoint. So in order to calculate the net present value of all benefits, you just need to add them. So in year 0, we don't have any benefits, right? In year 1, we have some benefits, and we need to add that by the benefit that we had in the previous year. I'm just trying to give you to teach you the logic. The total present value at any year would be the net present value of that year plus all of the previous years. So for year 1, the net present value for all benefits would be equal to the net present value of that year. But if we just continue that formula for second year, then overall net present value would be the present value of that year plus the previous overall benefits net present value. So we can continue doing that. We can just drag and drop it, and at the end we can see that the overall net present value of all benefits in the planning horizon of 5 years would be $180,000, almost a little bit more than $180,000. So this is the net present value of all benefits. We can do the same thing for cost. For cost, we have in year 0 at the beginning, we have 42,500 one-time cost. In year 1, we have this much cost. We need to add that by the previous one, same logic, same concept, and we can keep doing that. Here we go. Now we have the net present value of all cost. We have net present value of all benefits. The overall net present value of project is the difference between these two. In net present value, we paid $145,000, a little bit more than $145,000, and we got $180,000, right? So the overall net present value would be equal to the total benefit that we got minus the total cost that we have. So that would be the overall net present value of the project. And now we got overall net present value of the project. We can easily calculate the ROI, or return on investment, of the project. In order to calculate the return on investment, we need to divide the overall net present value of the project by the net present value of all costs that we got, all costs that we paid. So the overall net present value so far would be this much, $35,000. So we simply need to divide $35,000 by the overall cost of the project, and that's the return on investment. We paid $145,000, we got $35,000 as the benefit, right? The overall net present value is kind of like the benefit, because we paid this much, we made this much money. So this is the ROI. ROI is 0.24 or 24%. The next measure that we have is break-even analysis. For break-even analysis, we need to understand. Let me just bold these things that are important for you. Okay, let me just make sure you have all of the information that you need. Okay, the next one is break-even analysis, right? At break-even analysis, we need to understand what is the yearly cash flow in net present value, and what is the overall cash flow, again, net present value of the cash flow. Let's start with yearly NPV cash flow. Basically here in yearly NPV cash flow, you need to know how much money did you make at any year, just at that specific year. In year zero, we didn't have any benefit, we didn't make any money, but we paid $42,500, right? So we had $42,500 as the one-time cost, and we didn't have any cash flow, right? We didn't have any benefit. So the net present value cash flow would be $42,500, but remember, here we need to have benefits, which is 0 minus the cost that you have. So we have a negative cash flow here. The cash flow would be negative. The next one, going into the year 1. In year 1, in net present value, we made $44,642. So we made $44,000 and $44,642, but we paid 25,000, right? So we need to have benefit minus cost. Remember, net present value of benefit minus net present value of cost. So we have a positive cash flow in year 1. Year 2, same thing. Again, we need to have net present value of the benefit in year 2 minus net present value of the cost in year 2. And we can just keep doing that. If we just keep doing that to year 5, we can have the yearly cash flow. So we only had a significant negative cash flow at year 0 because we had a huge one-time cost. The next one, we need to calculate overall NPV cash flow. So what we calculated here is for each year separately, right? But here we want to consider overall cash flow. So for the year 0, we have this one as the overall, and for overall cost, and here we have overall benefits. Again, that would be 0. So remember, we need to divide benefits by the cost in order to get the cash flow. So it would be negative because we didn't have any revenue. But starting at year 1, again, overall benefit, all benefits that we got minus all costs that we paid. So you see, now the overall net present value cash flow would be increased. So we had a huge negative cash flow at the beginning, but now we are making money, so the negative cash flow would be mitigated. So we can just keep doing that for any given year. We need to have all benefits minus all cost. If we keep doing that, at some year, at some point right here, we can see the change in the change in the overall cash flow. Here we had a negative overall cash flow in year in year two. Remember, this is year zero, this is year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in year two, we had a negative cash flow. In year three, now we have a positive cash flow. So we can figure out that here, right here, we have the break-even point because we turned from a negative overall cash flow to a positive one. So somewhere in between of year 2 and 3, we paid off all of the cost using the benefits that we got. And if you want to know exactly what is that point, we need to use a very simple formula. We need to use the cash flow of year 3 and try to understand what portion of that cash flow of year 3 can pay off the negative amounts that we had here. So if you want to do that, that's a very simple formula. If you want to know what is the break-even fraction of that year, like we call it break-even fraction of year 3. In order to calculate that, let me just have it a little bit larger, or we can just leave it as is because it's better to have just the sales. Okay, so if you want to calculate the fraction, you need to have a very simple formula. The yearly cash flow of year 3, the first year that we have a positive cash flow, minus the extra positive cash flow that we have, divided by, again, the yearly cash flow that we got. So we want to know how much of this yearly cash flow is used to pay off the negative value that we had in previous year. So in year 2, we ended year 2 with negative $6,000, right? We want to know what portion of these $15,000 is used to pay off the $6,000. So if we do that, we can get a value of 0.4. So 0.4 simply means 40% of year 3 cash flow is used to pay off the debt. So we paid all of year 1 and 2 in order to pay off the cost, plus just 40% of year 3 to pay off the cost, right? Just 40% of year 3 to pay off the cost. So we can say the break-even point is 2 years plus 40% of year 3. So basically we spend 2 years plus 0.4 year to pay off the cost, all of the cost. So break-even point happened at 2.4 years into the project. And that's how we do the break-even analysis. And overall, this is the Excel file that you can see on Canvas. I'm gonna upload the same thing, and you have that example in your textbook. Just remember one thing, there is a typo in your textbook. When they try to calculate the break-even fraction, they have a typo here. Instead of 15,000, they just put 1,500. So they missed to type one of these 3 in this number. So this is the wrong formula. The right formula is 15,303 minus 9,139. So that's it for break-even analysis. It's just a little bit time consuming, not complicated. I'm gonna upload the same Excel file on Canvas with this recorded lecture so you can practice that a little bit. And also for your group assignment, you have one problem very similar to this. Thank you for listening.